All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of The Walking Dead Season 10. This is for episode 4. Now it is called Silence the Whispers. And spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen this episode yet for The Walking Dead Season 10, you're going to want to watch it before you watch my review. Okay, so the fourth episode for The Walking Dead Season 10, that brings us to the halfway point for this first half of Season 10. And I really enjoyed this episode. Now, some people who watched it on premiere early had said, I saw most people liked it. Some people thought it was kind of slow, this kind of thing, or boring, or this kind of deal. There was kind of the interesting intro music, which syncs up about the older. So there's a line in it where, getting older, and then you see Carol too, and she's got, the long kind of white hair, and then they kind of bring it back, a grayish to white hair. And then they bring it back at the end, and the episode finishes off with the whispers and the silence, the whispers. Shh. And wow, I just looked it up. This episode was directed by Michael Cudlitz, so that's awesome, who of course played Abraham in the Walking Dead television series, and I love his stuff. I didn't even know he had directed this episode before I watched it and before I formulated my thoughts on this, but just looking at it, checking it now to see that, and I think he is an awesome director for Walking Dead because I love this episode. Now let's get it out of the way right off the bat, right? Ezekiel takes a shot at it. Well, you might as well. Why not, right? It's one of those sorry, not sorry. It doesn't work out for him, but I enjoyed it a lot, man. It was really cool. So we saw the trailer, of course. There's a scene where Ezekiel, he tries to kisses Michonne, so it's funny. So you get the drama stuff in this episode. There was a lot of kind of the drama. Stuff going on throughout the episode. Very dramatic type of episode. But I liked it a lot because, if anything, I just sort of felt sorry for Ezekiel because, of course, after Carol kind of left him in his time of need, which, I could never hate Carol no matter what she does. I always like Carol all throughout the series. We've seen Melissa McBride play her since the very first season of the show, and she starts out as a victim from the very beginning with Ed, and then, of course, Sophia and everything. So you can never hate Carol no matter what she does. So for her to decide that, her and Ezekiel are no longer going to be a thing, and she kind of leaves Ezekiel, it really does make Ezekiel one of my favorite characters in the whole show. And I thought I'd be mad about it because it's like, it's Rick's, it's Rick's thing with Michonne, of course, too. And, the way it kind of plays out, you almost just feel sorry for both of them. And given the context, see, when you see it in the trailer, people are alarmed. They're like, oh my God, are they going to do this thing with Michonne and Ezekiel? And, in this episode here, it's like, no, they're clearly not going to. But when you see it out of context in the trailer, it's kind of like, but then when you see it in the episode itself, in context, it makes perfect sense. What's happening is Ezekiel has sort of lost the will to live. They're coming up against, almost what seems to be a seemingly impossible threat against the Whisperers, given their current situation, because this is not the same group of survivors in The Walking Dead that we had in Season 7 and Season 8 when they faced off against the Saviors and Negan. This is, I almost want to say a future version, a beaten down version, a version where they've lost Rick. Maggie has left. They've lost Tara. They've lost at the Red Fair with the Pikes and everything. And, they're just very... they're not the same. They don't have the same kind of strength that they used to have, and of course, they lost the kingdom as well too with Ezekiel now also, and so he couldn't even protect Henry. So he's kind of a broken man in this episode, right? You see him, and he's a broken man. He doesn't know what's going on, and Michonne basically comes there to console him and everything. And I guess that's part of it. She kind of allows him to, but it's been 6 years since Rick is gone, so it makes perfect sense. And then at the same time, so for Michonne too, it's been a long time as well too, but she does say kind of afterwards, which is to tell us that it's not gonna work. They never work out anyway. Both too damn stubborn, so it just doesn't quite match. It doesn't quite fit, which I think is what everybody else kind of thought too. But for me, Ezekiel definitely becoming one of my absolute favorite characters of the Walking Dead series overall. I think at this point. And, even before this episode, I've been, a huge fan of Kari Payton's Ezekiel. I think he's way better than the comic version. And just Love the character, love to see him and Jerry, because they're just so kind of, well, in this one he's really sad, right? He's depressed, but in some of the other ones when they're kind of really happy and they're doing their Yet I Smile thing, it's fun. It's a cool gimmick, I think, for Ezekiel to have, and we also get to find out that he is the mysterious person who has been leading the Hilltop during this time. Which is cool to finally find out, because I was wondering who it was actually who was in charge of the Hilltop now, after, of course, the kingdom fell, and then there was the Red Fair, and you had, Tara, and then there was Jesus as well, too, and now Maggie's gone. So, they have had a really tough time kind of finding people to be in charge of the Hilltop and lead the Hilltop, and it's good to see that Ezekiel's the one who's doing it, but he's also, he's troubled due to his past and having lost the community before, and then Michonne comes in with kind of the second time, and what it was like to lose Rick and that kind of stuff. So really good stuff with all that. Maybe one of the highlights of the episode for me. The highlight of the episode is Negan escaping. That's the highlight of the episode, and also Negan further redeeming himself. He's Vegeta from Dragon Ball. That's what he is. He starts out, to explain for people who haven't seen Dragon Ball, he starts out as a big-time villain, right? And then he kind of slowly, sort of, kind of comes into play. The Saiyan Saga ends, and then he slowly, eventually, he becomes kind of one of your more prominent, anti-hero, good guy type of characters. A transition, right? So it's fun to see, in the Walking Dead series, you have Rick and the others. Of course, they start out at the beginning as good guys, and then sometimes they transition into a little bit of darkness, like around season 5-ish, like Rick, where he runs over Bob in the police car. Savage, brutal kill, right? So, not to say that Rick was ever like a full-on villain, but he definitely kind of, goes more towards that side. So you see Negan, he's kind of the opposite. He starts out that way, and then we're starting to see him come the other way. And in this one, he saves Lydia when she is being sort of attacked, but then maybe also possibly raped. I don't know if that's what was going to happen there. And Negan saves her, but then he kills, is it Margot? Is she one of the highwaymen or whatever? I don't know. Whatever. Another one of these that is kind of there that we never really, knew much of until now, really. But it was effective, and it was cool to see. And then, of course, later on, after Negan is being blamed for it, when, really he was in the right here, and he was just trying to protect the kid. He was trying to protect Lydia. People are still ready to string him up and ready to put him to death or whatever, and they're actually having a vote on it. And we find out later that he has escaped. So who helped Negan escape? I think it is Brandon, the kid who was watching with the spear. In the comics, spoiler warning, that's what it was. So they'll probably go verbatim for that one, the TV series, that, Brandon, maybe he kind of likes Negan and he wants to leave anyway because he's scared of the Whispers just like everyone else is, so he decides to kind of run off, and we'll see what happens with that next episode, episode 5, between Negan and Brandon, if Brandon did in fact help him escape. And from the preview for next week's episode, it looks like that's probably the case. So I loved all that stuff, and of course in the TV series version we don't have Rick anymore, so having Negan there doing his thing is probably even more impactful and even more fun than it was in the comic version to read. And it was fun in the comics too, right? But JDM does an amazing job, and that was cool to see. So he saved Aaron now, right, as Negan, and he saved sort of Judith last season during the storm, I think you could kind of count. And now also he saved Lydia, so that's kind of 3, and now he's escaped. And we'll see what happens next for him. But I'm highly anticipating Negan getting to meet the Whispers. I think that's going to be really fun. So it was good stuff. It means watch your back, kid. So that's cool. We got Daryl, Michonne. Judith has some good parts in this one. I thought that was super cool. And I also liked the way they did the episode, to where they start off in the one section where things are going cool, and then it switches, like Alexandria, well, I wouldn't say cool, but there's stuff going on in Alexandria, and then it switches and you go right into hell on earth, right? Like it goes, the transition was so cool. You go from Alexandria, where there's drama, there's stuff happening, there's all this, and then boom, you go to the Hilltop and it's literally hell on earth. You have, Magna's group with Luke, and Luke is like, they're all exhausted, and he's like swinging the, the bike, whatever it is, the bike tool. He's like swinging it and killing the zombies, and there's just like so many coming in that it's, they do like this Zoom thing, and it's so awesome because there's just like zombies everywhere, and then the thing goes down and zombies are here, and oh man, it was so cool. Just to see that transition from the one to the other, like from this and then it's like this is what's going on over here. Holy shit! And you have like even the slingshots look badass. You have the slingshots going with Kelly and Connie and stuff, and that was so cool, man. I did like that as well too. That was really great. So I want to watch that part again just because I thought it was awesome. So really, what I'm saying about this episode is, considering who they lost in the last year for Walking Dead, or last couple years for Walking Dead, considering the characters they have to work with, I think it is turning out better than anyone really could have anticipated ahead of time. Expectancy-wise, it shouldn't be this good, but it is. It's really that good, I think, for me. Because, again, you have new characters here, right? You have Magna's group, which is, for all intents and purposes, are almost like a background set of characters that just kind of came in. They haven't been there that long, but still, just the way they've done it and everything is so cool. There's even like the montage scene where you have Magna and Yumiko getting a bit freaky, and Magna's the top for anybody who is wondering. We get to see in the episode here, and also afterwards, she's got kind of one of those. She's got an attitude on her, right? And we see that later on with Yumiko, where I'll say I like Yumiko better than Magna. I think Magna comes across as a little demanding and a little toppish. A little bit bitchy, later on in that whole thing, but it's cool. They got their own thing going, so we get that, and that's fun and stuff. But I like Yumiko, and I liked Luke in this episode, in that he actually got one of Eugene's references, which I thought was also fun because nobody ever gets Eugene's references, and I thought that maybe that's on purpose, like maybe that's by design, like Eugene kind of speaks. At least this is my interpretation of it. Eugene kind of speaks at this level that nobody can understand and no one can follow. And he does it really fast, too, to kind of maybe elite himself over the others, or elitize his speech so that no one understands what the hell he's saying. Well, Luke gets it, right? He actually kind of, it's like, oh, yeah, what are you talking about? And then it's kind of like, what? Like, someone actually understands what Eugene's saying. So I like Luke in this one a lot, too. I thought it was really cool seeing him swing that bicycle tool, whatever. There's a joke about Jules is her name from the Oceanside. So that's fun. So I like that, too. And, the show's run by females now. So we got a lot of romantic stuff going on. It's okay, though. It's working. I think it's working good. And it certainly is adding more emotion to the characters than the comics was ever able to really instill. So I think they're doing a good job as far as that goes. So we're already at war. You have the tree falling down. We get to see that Earl is still there because I wasn't sure. Alden as well too. And you've got Michonne who's talking to Lydia and it's kind of telling her about bullies and how to deal with bullies, and that's kind of a cool thing because she's so young and stuff. And you guys remember, like in school, kids bully each other and stuff like this. So it's a cool way to kind of explain it. And I also like the scene where they're cutting up a whole bunch of zombies, really sweet. And then you have Judith. I almost called her Lydia. Sometimes for some reason I mix up and call Judith Lydia and vice versa. You have Judith who is swinging the sword with Michonne, and absolutely badass, right? Like she's like this little thing, and she's like smoking these zombies and stuff, and it looked cool. It really did look cool, and it was fun. So that's adorable as well too, and I liked all of that stuff. I was thinking too that Lydia, if you look back to the episodes where we get to see Lydia, Alpha, and Alpha's husband, I do feel like in a way that Negan actually has a pretty strong resemblance to Lydia's dad, Lydia's father, and also possibly if he's going to meet Alpha, that through transference. If you guys don't know what cycle, I want to pull a Eugene on you here. It's pretty simple, okay? This is transference. When you meet somebody who reminds you of somebody that you knew before, and maybe you think of them fondly or negatively, one of the two, based on the other person before. It's something that occurs with people. So you're kind of setting it up here to where possibly Alpha could be meeting somebody who's very similar to her ex-husband or husband, or well, I guess you'd say just husband because, he's dead. So that kind of thing. But also that it also makes sense that Lydia would have a fondness for Negan because Negan does resemble in a lot of ways, at least the dark hair and everything, her father before. So it was cool stuff for to get to see just kind of why, for it to make sense right away, why Lydia would have a fondness towards Negan, and also him kind of getting her and there being a camaraderie between the father-daughter type, fatherly type of relationship there between the two, because of course he's also kind of a someone who's part of Alexandria, but everybody's always hated him because of him, bashing heads in and stuff. So good stuff with that too. So I like that as well too. So let's see what else we got here. So Gabriel wants to think on it for the night, and then when he comes back out later, of course, they find that Negan has escaped, and Lydia wants to take the blame for it because she feels safe in the cell. She feels safe in there, and Daryl allows her to stay there. but Daryl knows that it wasn't her who did it, that she didn't leave because he's been keeping a close eye on her due to Michonne saying that, well, and it makes sense also. If they have Lydia, it is also likely that Alpha would not, full on bring the horde down on Alexandria because she knows that Lydia is there. And we also get to see that in the preview from Beta, that he kind of called her out on it too, that Beta knows that Lydia is still alive and Lydia is there, so that's why they don't just kill them. They're kind of maybe the plan from Alpha is wear them down, wear them in, and then people will scurry and they'll run, and then when there's no one left, she'll be able to take Lydia back and show her that she was right, which already Lydia is starting to think that maybe that her mom was right in the scene where she talks about masks and people kind of becoming more savage as soon as they stop fake acting polite, which to a degree has some truth to it even in real life, especially in the professional world, especially in sales and things like that. The way people act is totally, completely a mask, completely different. So, we go through the episode. Negan being gone, kind of the episode ends off. So, I love the episode, if you guys can't tell. You get the Negan concentration, you get good stuff for Lydia. And, it's funny when you see Lydia, she actually does look a lot like Alpha, too, doesn't she? She sort of looks like, well, you take Negan and Alpha, you put them together, you got Lydia, right? So, that's what it is. Similarities there between, So, looking forward to seeing Negan meet the Whispers and meet Alpha, because that's going to be really cool. And just really love the episode all around, more than I thought I would, considering that Magna's group is totally a set of new characters, but they've done a good job of making the audience care about them about as much as we can, when naturally I was feeling resistant towards that this many years into The Walking Dead, of bringing in a new group and giving them so much focus and stuff as they have. Good stuff. We even got to see Carol in this one a little bit too, with Daryl and that. But they're not, they're sort of around. They're sort of there. They're not. I wouldn't say they're necessarily at the forefront for the episode. But I'm going to give the episode a 9.7 out of 10. I did think at a part here in the episode they might kill off Lydia, but I'm glad they didn't, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from her in the future and what they can do with her, because I really don't know. Like, what are they going to do with Lydia right now and going forward? Is she going to survive on permanently? Will she become more prominent here later on? And how's that going to work, because you don't have Carl in the TV series version. So 9.7 out of 10. Love the episode. Michael Cudlitz killing it as per usual. I hope he stays on for many more years to direct episodes of The Walking Dead. He's one of the best directors they have. And every time he takes a chance and he starts doing some cool kind of angles and different things and 360s and stuff like this, I think it works really well. I think it's really, really cool. So anyway, but maybe that's just me being biased because I am a bit of an Abraham fanboy, which I do have to concede. So that's it for my review for this episode, guys. Silence the Whispers. I loved it. Daryl's washing off the... he's got a lot to wash off. He's working on the doors, but then there's like section over here, section over there, section over there. It's a big one over there. And if he's going to do it all by himself, then... he's got a long day ahead of him, right? Many, many hours of scrubbing. So that's it. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Leave your comments below. And how excited are you to see Negan meet Alpha and, Beta too, right? Because that's going to be fun too. So, I can't wait to see that, man. We should press fast forward. Wait to see that. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite, and subscribe at the bottom left if you're new. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, this is Trev saying peace later, guys. See you soon.